Hello and welcome to Perspectives. Apologies for starting late. We have some technical difficulties. Electioneering is getting nearer and nearer to the elections, but one matter of concern or a matter of discussion, which is crucial, is that, as always, once again, religion is being used as a selling point for politics. Whether it's right or wrong is the discussion. But a flag which goes up with this discussion is that extremism, or may I say extreme terrorism, extremist terrorism, is thriving amongst us. While leaders are being killed, bomb attacks are happening, threats are there. At that same point, we have reawakened the discussion of the Red Mosque. That is now a discussion point. Media is talking about it. Politicians are talking about it. And religion is once again almost a part and parcel of politicking. Is it good for Pakistan? Is it not good for Pakistan? Or should we now go beyond religion, faith, belief, and talk about politics on principles of philosophy, ideology, functional and practical development politics? We'll talk about that. My guests on my extreme right, Mr. Najib Harun, representing Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. So thank you very much. Ms. Sumit Sayyid, Muttahid Movement, thank you very much for being here. Mr. Khwaja Tariq Nazir from PMLN, and he's a former Additional Secretary General of PMLN. Thank you very much for being here. Mr. Zahid Saeed from Jamaat Islami. Thank you very much. And Mr. Sadar Abdul Rahim, who is with Pakistan Muslim League F. Thank you, Sadar, for being here. Nisa, I'd like to start with you because some people have commented on your promotional material where your leader is shown saying his prayers, and that is used, which is perfect. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but people comment that any religious advantage or any religious guard is not feasible for Pakistan at this point. What would you say?
I think religion is not an advantage. It should not be a disadvantage also.
Absolutely.
We should never forget the very basis of Pakistan being there in existence, was the two-nation theory and the Pakistani constitution, overwhelming its Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Things do change during the course of the nation as nations mature. But as we are sitting and as we are talking, so we have to keep this thing in perspective that we are citizens of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And for most part, from the people, the most part of the population, religion dominates in this part of the world. I don't think we have to take that away. That can become a strength also. It has been a strength of this country. We have done so many things. We fought wars and stuff like that. When we have to look at it in totality. We, as a nation, probably would have to go through a recycling process, maybe some referendum someday. But we have to honor it and we have to respect it as we are forging ahead into the democratic process. And I think that's a great advantage as the world is totally divided and Pakistan, being the only nuclear state in the Islamic Ummah. Okay. And for years altogether, that has been we were working in that direction because of whatever threats of existence in this part of the world. So if we write off our strengths, I think in times to come, whatever strengths we have developed in the past 2 or 3 decades, they have to be utilized positively, particularly given the regional, position of Pakistan. I think only the leadership which will lead from a high moral ground, who would not go for meager benefits for themselves, would be able to use these strengths of a Pakistani nation. I don't think we should expect to change that in a very near future.
I fully agree, but the flip side of my question was that doesn't this philosophy of continually re-invoking religion strengthens people who are using religion to hurt Pakistan?
I don't know, anything can be abused, anybody
is it
can
being abused?
No, I don't think so.
You don't?
I don't
Okay.
think so because, these options are available to the people of Pakistan and they can pick and choose. And there are parties in this country who are putting up themselves for elections who are basically secular parties.
Okay.
Then there are extreme left parties and there are extreme right parties. there are liberal parties, center of right, center of left. So all these
Okay.
options are available.
Srimat, I'll take your comments a little later because your party is very vocal against this stance. Raisab, how would you comment on this?
Thank you very much. I would like to say that we believe in Jamaat-e-Islami that, as Najib Bhai has said, that Pakistan actually, the Pakistan movement has started with a two-nation theory.
Sure.
And obviously, when this nation was created and Pakistan came into being, and subsequently the constitution, which has been agreed upon by all parties of Pakistan, and that is our constitution of 1973, that says Pakistan is the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and we at Jamaat Islami, we see that this is the binding force between the people of Pakistan. The Pakistan nation, what is a Pakistan nation? There are different languages, there are different cultures, but we all come down to one glue, one binding point, one binding force.
May I interject here?
Yeah.
Ideally, you're absolutely right that,
Yeah.
Religion would be one binding force for this nation.
Mm-hmm.
There are two issues. One, sure, the creation of Pakistan was for a free state for Indian Muslims to practice, but it was not a state where non-Muslims would be killed. And secondly, the second factor, you said this is a binding force. Unfortunately, that's not true for Pakistan today. Religion is the basis where we're killing each other with respect to religion.
You see, I think this is abuse of Islam if somebody says that non-Muslims will be hurt in an Islamic society. I think they enjoy as much, in fact, in some conditions, they enjoy more rights than Muslims in Islamic society.
In Pakistan?
Not in Pakistan.
I'm talking about Pakistan.
I'm talking about ideal situation. What we have been taught, what is the education of Islam, I'm talking about that.
Okay.
If we are not doing that in Pakistan, we are breaking so many laws, we are abusing, I think, most of the provisions of the constitution. So we don't start talking about revoking them. In fact, we always talk about using them properly. You see, even Article 62 and 63 was never invoked before this election in such a big way. And that was part of the constitution. So if we are abusing those provisions, it doesn't mean that the provisions are not correct. And this is same about Islam. We think that Islam is the binding force, but the problem has been that this has not been patronized by the state. It has been actually privatized, and it has been left on different people to make different images of it and do different things in different directions. Actually, this should have been the job of the state to give ideological guidance, because it's an ideological state.
I fully agree, but I would like to go to Mr. Sardar Rahim. Yes, maybe the state should have done that, but you have all been the state. I am not the state. You have all been the state. So may I, with humble apologies, suggest that you have completely failed to do this, and thus we've gone relatively haywire?
Faisal, I think your question was misleading. I'm sorry
My
to say
apologies.
that.
Okay.
Because you're linking terrorism and violence with religion.
Not at all.
Yes, that's what you said, that, because of religious extremism, there's violence in the country.
No, I said extremist terrorism is using religion,
Extremist terrorism.
and that's how they're getting sympathy.
Yes, if they're, we should look at extremist terrorism per se.
Yeah.
We should not link it to religion.
Absolutely, we shouldn't, but they
The
do.
foundation of Pakistan, there is no doubt about that, is based on religion.
Uh-huh.
Separation of India and Pakistan was based on our way of life, which was Muslim way of life. That's why Pakistan was created in the first place.
Uh-huh.
But then, at the same time, we should not forget Quaid-e-Azam's speech on 11th August 1948, which seemingly looks like secular, but actually it's not. It's like he meant Pakistan to be a welfare state, and equality of law for everyone, equality of resources for everyone. We did not adhere to his principles, and we have landed up in this, mire. We have landed up in this problem.
May I interject and read?
But what the point I want to emphasize on is that actually it's not the terrorism or religious element which is backing up terrorism, it's the lack of governance which actually encourages terrorism.
but which fails, my apologies, which fails.
We have failed.
No. The implementation and the governance fails the moment the religious card is invoked. Everybody just backs out. I mean, Red Mosque is a huge discussion today.
Anything which you can call terrorism or anything which is illegal has to be dealt with squarely. We actually, we went soft on that because we did not want problems for the government.
We didn't want to upset the religious elements.
Lack of governance is the root cause, not what is fueling terrorism.
Okay.
Because if there is a bomb blast in Boston, whoever actually were responsible are caught in 3 days. You've been to Singapore, I've been to Singapore. Nobody dares to do anything, any such thing over there. There's rule of law. The government agencies work for the state. See? So this lack of government, what we have to actually focus on and try to improve for our next generations is the elements of governance, that we should govern this country in a better way so that there is peace and harmony in Pakistan.
Mr. Tariq, what would you say?
Thank you. In this context, I would like to rather analyze the reason why this has actually increased in our country. We all know, and it is a fact which everyone knows, that as a state we have been sponsoring terrorism. I'm sorry to say.
And may I slightly interject with apologies? Your party is also accused of giving tickets involving facilitating.
We can come to that.
No,
Okay,
that's not the discussion, but
I'll answer that question later because I'll first like to highlight those reasons why this terrorism or extremism has increased over the years in Pakistan. If we recall, during the Afghan-USSR war or intervention, we played a certain role, right? We actually nurtured certain nurseries in our country. Not only in Afghanistan, in fact, anywhere where the jihad was taking place, we would export those elements. And it was done by certain institutions of the state, right? But when an agreement was reached between Pervez Musharraf and Vajpayee in Islamabad, right? Those links were totally cut off.
But
That resulted in what?
that's an irrelevant discussion. With humble, very respectful apologies, sir, because it's a touchy subject, and I'm so scared of touching this subject because it offends me.
Why then,
because it is crucial.
So
it is crucial for the next generation.
If we do not analyze the reason why this
We have analyzed the reasons till
these are those unemployed, people. Those who are being exported at that stage are now being consumed locally. We need to understand that.
And we are not going hardly
and
against
as
them.
Rahim Bhai has rightly pointed out, because we have not governed.
Okay.
Right? If we had governed this and we had realized the magnitude of this problem, we would have addressed this problem. We have not done that.
Okay. And just a quick comment on the people who are actually in your party. They have been talked about repeatedly.
Okay. The point is, those are those people, they belong to certain outfits which are banned now, right? It is not only PMLN. It is not only PML. We know for a fact, even in Karachi or other parts of the country, there are people who had left those outfits and now they have joined other parties. Because as an individual, they have the right to vote, they have the right to indulge in politics. Those people are not banned. Right? But those outfits to whom they belong, they are banned.
And you say that's perfectly all right?
I think as a person, I think if they can join any party, why not PMLN? Why do you single out PMLN?
No, I'm not singling out PMLN.
Right? Because you see
but joining any party, that's perfectly all right.
As an individual, if the constitution does not bar them, right? If the constitution of the Pakistan doesn't...
And a moral responsibility?
I mean...
Just a curious question.
I mean, if the person is not involved, he is not convicted, right?
Okay. And you say that other parties are doing it as well. So,
Which is legal, it is
No, I-
constitutional, it is moral also, because
I have-
unless they are declared.
I have no right to question you because it is really,
No, no.
it is legal. I fully respect that. But the two things which and I like to go to Sumita now, the two things I would just for later discussion. One, you said, why only PMLN? Just because Party X does it as well, does not mean you should do it as well. That's
No,
more.
I said it is perfectly constitutional, it is legal,
Okay,
it is
fine.
moral.
Okay. Moral.
Moral also, because
Okay.
if the constitution or the society does not stop them, they live in the society, right? If they are immoral, they should be,
Ostracized by the
yes,
society.
why not?
I have a small input here.
Yeah, I'd like to give some attention.
That basically it's a moral responsibility of all the parties to ensure, because the code is not there. Sometimes the law is also flimsy. I mean, the cases are there, but nobody is convicted. But the perceptions are there, and generally, as a nation, we don't need to exclude people, but where there are identified people or problems, they should be excluded by the political parties.
I think coming back to the extremist part, I think we're in the middle of a confusion. I think from where all it started, are we an extremist society or are we indulging people that are extremists? From where I come from the school of thought that I come from, yes, we are very vocal, and yes, we say that there's a lot of terrorism going on, and yes, they are using religion as a part of it. And there's a lot of things that are done, and I think the government and the people, the decision makers, have somehow failed not to get that aspect out yet.
Need I remind you that you've been in the government?
Yes, but we've done so much. I think we've been very, very vocal. We've been very, very out there. We've been, I think, very, very loud about the extremist things that are happening around, especially in Karachi. And the kind of things that even the political campaigns are going on. And right now we're not talking about our manifestos, but we're all worried how to carry our campaigns forward. Why? Shouldn't we be actually busy in election 2013? But our candidates are not even allowed. We're
Congratulations, you've created a monster which you can't deal with. I haven't, you have.
But exactly, we can't even tackle that problem. It's reached such heights that we cannot even tackle that problem, and it's sad that.
And that's exactly the
it is
reason
really sad that we
exactly,
cannot address a problem that we maybe created somehow back then. But even Islam, the teaching of Islam still says that we should live with harmony. It doesn't matter if you're Islam, if you belong to the Islamic thought, if you belong to the Hindu thought, Buddhist thought, any thought. You're living in the country with harmony. We should respect each other.
That's exactly why I invoked this discussion, and my friend here asked why I'm doing it. The reason I'm doing it is because you say the Constitution allows it, it's perfectly moral. All my gentlemen friends here have agreed that it's perfectly all right. We can, it's the Islamic Pakistan theory. No, not that part.
Let's not
But
everybody.
it's the Pakistan theory.
If you allow me,
Sir, please.
sensitive. If you allow me, I'll
Please,
touch
please.
another sensitive aspect of violence. In Balochistan, nobody says it's religion-based or religious extremism,
Sure.
but there is extreme violence over there. Recent incidents were gruesome, and the victims did not blame religious elements. They blamed their own fellow Baloch citizens
Sure.
and influential people. There's a lot of talk about Raw's involvement in Balochistan. There's a lot of talk about other vested interests which are playing around in Balochistan. See? So it's not, you can't just isolate.
But isn't it awkward that in most cases the local forces which get attacked? A bit awkward.
It is. It's an
in
open
Balochistan,
threat. It's an open threat
It
to
is a pattern you can't
It's an
deny.
open threat to People's Party, and
ANP.
it's an open threat to ANP.
No, I'm-
Why just these? Why just because they're secular, they're liberal, they promote harmony, they promote coexistence.
no, but I will point out that, Faisal was right that a lot of people over here were in the central government as well. And when a resolution was passed in the National Assembly, in the Parliament, a joint session of the Parliament, and it was not adhered to, it was not followed. If had it been followed, letter and spirit, then maybe we would have saved the country a little bit from the extremist elements.
But it's never too late to save the country.
We compromise when our interests dictate that, we should look the other way. But we try to do a lot of propaganda against those elements when it suits us. So
and include them when it suits us as well.
Sorry?
We speak against them when it suits us, but we include them when it suits us.
That's right, yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Zahid Saab is in complete disagreement. I think I'm going to give Zahid Saab time because he's in complete disagreement and
I think that, by its name, Jamaat-e-Islami is an Islamic party.
absolutely.
Okay. And we stand for Islamic values and we want to implement the Islamic system. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
The problem is that when we are talking about Karachi, I would outrightly say that everybody, whether a crime is committed in the name of religion or in secular name, I think the crime is a crime and the punishment for both of them is the same. Nobody actually can advocate to excuse the crime which has been made in the name of Islam. If it is made, I think they should be they're the equal criminal.
Absolutely.
Any secular or anybody who uses the name of Islam, I think it's an abuse of the name of Islam. But whatever is happening in Karachi, do you exclude other elements? Whatever has been happening, for God's sake, if somebody says that the three parties in coalition have been promoting harmony in Karachi, what have they been saying on television about each other? I am not saying about any of them, but the accusations they have made time to time in the last 5 years while they have been in the provincial government. And let's say, if we talk about the parties which have been in the provincial government for the last 20 years, any regime they have been in the government, and the accusations they have made against each other, the murders they have claimed against each other, the attacks on each other which they have claimed on television, do you think all that goes into the religion side?
But
Whatever has...
I'll come to you just 1 second.
Let me
I have some time. I'll come to you.
Let
Would you please?
You see, I think we should not, throw everything under the carpet by saying that there's extremism. I say that you punish everybody who commits a crime, who crosses the line of law. Everything should be treated according to the law, and there should be no exclusions. And I think the things will be okay.
I could not agree with you more. I concede 125%, but there's a slight problem. Every now and then, crimes are committed in the name of religion. And, unfortunately, the same reason why I'm nervous about doing the show, everybody becomes nervous about saying, what the hell have you done? How have you killed so many people in the name of religion? How can you just declare somebody blasphemous and just fry a whole neighborhood? And everybody just kind of backs off because it's not to political, my apologies, it's not to political advantage to argue. So thus, I'll come back to marginal discussion, and since you raised a finger towards Sumita, I'll let her answer as well. That's why I've said, if we keep building, and that excludes you. Jamaat-e-Islami is an Islamic ideology party.
It's a democratic party.
I respect that completely. I'm not necessarily referring to you, but when you build your political campaigns on religion, then it doesn't suit you to condemn atrocities in the name of religion.
No, it does, actually. And we do it, and I'm doing it here on the television, being representative of Jamaat-e-Islami. I'm saying that any crime which is committed in the name of Islam is an abuse of Islam.
But then the line between whether it's a crime or not gets confused.
No. I think everybody, the whole Pakistani nation, if a minority was actually attacked in Lahore, everybody, including Jamaat-e-Islami.
So how would you, if I was giving Jamaat-e-Islami, how would you be okay if a young lady wants to get married? I'm just putting out a scenario. Would you be okay with that? Because there has been cases where religion has been an issue regarding this.
Okay, I'm going to leave that one open. Okay. But he has made clear accusation towards your party that you have been, and he did not take names.
We've been together and promoting harmony.
You have created, Mrs. Hyde, that you've been responsible for massive crime and death.
I don't think he said that for the
So
fact
you
that
said the parties who've always been in government, that's them.
I only said that the parties which have been in the government for the last 5
They're
years
accusing each other.
actually accused each other.
But that's them.
And
But
they
that's fine.
came
We
on the
accuse
television
each
to
other.
prove facts
Sir,
against
we
each other.
accuse
So
each
you
other.
just talked about her.
We've accused each
not
other.
getting
That's
off.
fine. That's fine. Being a democratic, we're all democratic. We've accused each other, but we stand on one note that yes, there is extremism in Pakistan. It is being avoided. It hasn't been addressed. It should be addressed. And yes, you're right. If it's a crime, no matter who commits it, either in the name of religion or any reason, it should be addressed. But yes, we do tend to look away when there is a religious point, because we are very afraid to touch that touchy subject. Why? Because that might, whether that be both, whether that be anything. But yes, we do look away from it. We do look away from it. I don't think we'd be very scared from touching religious points, and I think we shouldn't be, because any issue.
I have spoken, I think, very clearly about
I'm
it.
talking about the whole,
The crux
not
of the
just
matter
you.
is that in the absence of any law and order situation in the country, the writ of the government was missing, and it was like a wild west. Everybody was getting away with whatever they were doing. And unfortunately, when you look at the scenarios, you know, you can't bracket them with just Islamic problem. I mean, there are different problems in different parts of Pakistan.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Let's overlook the past completely.
Okay.
Let me just offer you the Kingdom of Pakistan, PTI. As you say, you will be in office in 3 weeks. Assuming you are, hypothetically, what would you do? And I want very categorically, what would you do to clearly define what is a crime and what is not a crime beyond religion? And will you let Pakistan, the next generation, exist without the state sticking a gun in their throat, saying you have to do something?
Yeah. Like I said, it's in PTI's manifesto also. There is progressive Islamic welfare state. A little
What's
more.
progressive Islamic? Islamic is Islamic.
Yeah,
Am I right,
Islamic
sir? There is no
is Islamic,
progressive.
but for people like, you know, the younger generation, probably.
Oh, you're selling.
Yeah, because
it's a story.
sometimes you need to define things for people who are not grasping it.
So you give them a progressive Islamic. What does that mean?
Yeah, it means what it means that, you know, in this 21st century, you know, when it said that it's a progressive Islamic welfare state, because here in this part of the world, the welfare part went away. And in you know, if this was Islamic, what Ziaullah gave, and this was Islamic, what has
so you're
been
not answering my
around
question.
in the,
I have to take everyone's notes.
So basically,
Define what would you do to this country if you have it?
basically, you know, as soon as PTI is there in power, the first things that need to be addressed is that the people who are at the hem of the affairs have to be cleaner people.
No, so that is not my question.
Because that thing,
that was not my question. My question is very clearly
that is
defined.
my answer, actually. Even if that was not your question, that is my answer.
Okay.
Because in the first instance, you need to have cleaner, good people with integrity in positions of
That
office,
doesn't solve
and
much.
then, you know, that it would start so, because then you have to take the people of Pakistan in the folds.
Maybe we'll stop it. My apologies. I'll also take it closing notes at the same time. My
What is
apologies.
the prime responsibility of any state, right? To protect the lives and properties of its citizens, right? If we, as, you know, as government, if we can ensure that, and it is our responsibility.
That's again not answering my
No,
question.
why not?
My question is very clear.
There is the law of the
why
land.
don't you
They
answer
read
it
it
yourself?
again,
There is the constitution, there is the law, right? As Najib Bhai
The
has
same
right-
constitution that allows you to take defunct organization representatives. It's a
If
constitution
there is
that allows you to do it.
You go by the book.
That's fine.
You know,
I'd like to just take these notes quickly. If I have time, I'll come back.
rule
That's
of
up.
law.
Okay.
Just ensure rule of law.
Okay, fine. That's up.
I think it has to be an across-the-board implementation of law, with no exceptions for the rulers, and no exceptions for a common man.
But I have an extra question for you, because you say you would like to impose Islamic law, which is fantastic. I'm with you on that one. But just very quickly define, what does that mean different from what we've had so far?
You see, I think most of the provisions in the Constitution of Pakistan have already been, you know, they have been actually promulgated in view of the Islamic provision. And I think we have had Islamic Nazariyati Council,
Sure.
Islamic Ideological Council. I think things have been defined. They don't need to be reinvented again. The things are on the paper. We have too many laws. The problem is the implementation. We don't implement them, and we want to exclude the influential from the rule of law. That is our problem. That is our problem. And if the people who are responsible, who are at the helm of affairs, they actually present themselves also before the law, and they have a clear conscience, I think everything will be clear very quickly.
Sir, you've been smiling for a long time.
Yeah, because of the duplicity and hypocrisy in our politics. Faisal Sahab, I think what needs to be done is, there shall be no law for organization,
Yeah.
but it does not define what is jihad.
Fair point. Good one.
If I was at the helm of affairs, personally, I would create an environment for an ijma and define how does jihad go along with your constitution, with your rule of law, and with the law of the country.
So what you're saying is basically you would define the processes.
What I'm saying is that, because jihad is fundamentally a kosher thing in Islam.
Right.
A person who does not have belief in jihad, I don't think is a Muslim.
Okay.
But only the state can declare jihad.
What prompts jihad?
The Islamic State can declare jihad.
Samantha, quickly.
My ending would be that
please.
Islam teachings are out there and we should all follow them as being good Muslims and being the residents of Pakistan, yes, but extremists are out there.
I'm sorry, there are non-Muslims in Pakistan.
There's non-Muslims out there
So
as well.
let's not enforce that.
Yeah. But to deal with extremists, there should be a national counter-terrorism policy, which is very, very clearly defined in our manifesto. And it's a there's 22 things highlighted in this manifesto that can be thoroughly read by everyone, and then we can probably have another. But yes, there's a lot of, looking at whatever happened in the past has happened, but looking at the current scenario, there is terrorism, there is on religion basis as well, and we need to counter that so that everything can run smoothly within Pakistan, and so can the elections 2013.
Fadil, one last point. We need to stop excluding people.
Okay.
We need to take people.
Thank you
into
very
the
much,
fold.
all of you. My apologies. A very detailed topic. We ran short on time. Until next time. Good night.